that Macy had periventricular leukomalacia, which could mean a cerebral palsy diagnosis. So when we left our visit with the doctor that day, I didn't fall apart, because I went in thinking she didn't even have a brain, or she had a brain tumor or something like that. I was very accepting of the possible diagnosis, and I just said, you know what, we're just going to pray for the best, and we're not going to do anything different. We had never been parents before, so we didn't know how to be parents, much less how to be parents to two. So we just decided whatever we did for Morgan, we were going to do the same thing for Macy. And we were going to have the same expectations of Macy until we figured out that may not work. You know, it's truly going to be a trial and error, and a see what works and a see what doesn't work. So, you know, of course we had a pediatrician. Macy hit a lot of milestones that a normal baby would. Macy was a little colicky, more so than Morgan ever was, and we had to try several different formulas for that. Could that be a symptom of cerebral palsy, just because the stomach muscles and things like that are not agreeing with it? But, you know, it could also just be because babies, you know, sometimes they have to figure out what formula works for them. So we actually got in to see a neurologist, and she got her actual diagnosis of cerebral palsy at around 8 months. But like I said, Macy hit a lot of milestones that excited us, that gave us a very positive outlook. But what we didn't understand was, because she had increased tone, as they call it, the muscle stiffens, that allowed her to roll over. That muscle would kind of kick in, and that would allow her the ability to tighten up and roll over. She said she rolled over before Morgan. She's sitting up before Morgan. But we figured out with therapy and things like this, you've got to break that tone and try to strengthen the muscle. So over her course of her life, Macy did a lot of physical therapy, occupational therapy at young ages, a lot of play therapy, laying on her stomach, reaching for things, holding her head up, things like that, to try to strengthen that core, strengthen those muscles, and then a lot of stretching and stuff to break down the tone and try to loosen up some of the muscle tone and stuff that was increased and causing her to stiffen. You know, outside of maybe not crawling like Morgan, Macy was just a normal toddler. She was a normal baby. Macy would W-sit, and if you know what W-sitting is, it's when they are like on their knees, but their legs are out beside them, so it looks like a W, which is not good for the hips. It's not good for the way that their knees might turn in and things like that, but that's what works for her, and that's what she felt comfortable doing. Macy never crawled like children crawled. Macy hopped like a frog. So she would W-sit, and then she would bounce until she got to where she needed to go. She fell over a lot, and you know what? We let her fall over a lot. We let things happen because that's a learning process. I do believe that had we only had Macy, had we not had Morgan, that we maybe would have catered to Macy more. We maybe would have babied her more and not let those kind of things happen. But because she had a sibling there, and because they were doing things together, we just said, hey, let's see how this goes. Macy and Morgan both stayed with my grandmother the first year of their life. They were not sick babies ever. They spent 6 weeks in the NICU, but they came home. They were never sick babies. They never had earaches and ear infections. They've never had a problem with their tonsils or their adenoids or anything like that. You know, to have been early babies and 6 weeks in the NICU, they have always been really healthy children. Now adults. But they spent their first year of their life with my grandmother, which I do think helped a lot in building up a strong immune system, not being, you know, I know sometimes it's good to be exposed to things, but then I just think, you know, being there helped them. And then we have been blessed with the most fabulous sitter you could ever ask for. She has raised just about every child in this town, and we knew we wanted her, and we were hoping that she would be accepting of Macy, and she has never batted an eye. And she said from Jump Straight, we're going to do things just like I do things with every other child. And I said, okay. And she starts potty training at 18 months, and she said, we're going to do this. And she said, if it works, it works, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. Well, we're going to see. And Macy potty trained very easy. And we are so thankful for our sitter who was patient and told us how to do it and told us we better follow her rules because it wasn't going to work if we didn't. And we're just blessed that Macy toilets just like everybody else. Does she require my assistance? Yes. But, you know, we don't wear a pull-up or a adult diaper or anything like that. She trained very easily, and we're just blessed that that was an easy process for us. So I'll keep this one a little shorter. Tomorrow we may talk about some of the surgeries that Macy has had, from early years to, you know, young adolescent, things like that. And then we'll start diving in a little deeper to some of her equipment and some of her interests and things like that. So y'all, please share the video with others that you think might find something from this. And I just appreciate y'all watching and having an interest in learning more about Macy and about cerebral palsy. Thanks.